A very warm good morning to all of you. Dear students, once again I would like to welcome all of you to a new session of the history class. Today we are continuing with the same chapter from history, chapter number 13, United Nations, part 2. Do you remember what we were discussing in the last class? In the last class we were discussing three important points. First one, origin of United Nations. What were the different reasons? And who were the people behind it? So these kinds of points we were discussing in the last class. Secondly, we were discussing about the objectives of United Nations. What were the different fields in which the United Nations is functioning? What were their ideologies? And finally, the third point which we were discussing was principles of United Nations. United Nations is an organization and it will be having certain principles to function. So what were the different principles of United Nations? So these were the three main points which we were discussing in the last class. United Nations is having 6 different organs. 6 different committees are there. And one of those committees is General Assembly. So we are going to study about the most important organs, or one of the most important organs of United Nations, and that is the General Assembly. So dear students, let's study something in detail about the General Assembly of United Nations. It is the most deliberative organ of the United Nations. United Nations will be discussing all its important serious matters in the General Assembly, and all the members together, they are making the decision, or the resolution of the General Assembly will be based on the decision or the interest or the will of its members. So will of its members will become the decision of the General Assembly, and the entire United Nations will be functioning on the resolution passed in the General Assembly. Work of United Nations is determined by the resolutions passed in General Assembly. So the United Nations, its different organs, its different agencies, all of these setup will be functioning on the decisions passed in the General Assembly, or the resolutions passed by the General Assembly. Will of majority will become the decisions of UN, and the decisions of UN will not be enforced on any government. I'll explain it, which means if there are 100 states in the General Assembly, or 100 countries are the members of General Assembly, and out of 100, 80 countries supported an issue, and it will become the decision of United Nations. And the United Nations will never enforce their decision on any government. Suppose if a country is not ready to follow the decision of the United Nations, of course the United Nations will not force them to accept it, but they will respect the country and they will allow that country to go on with their own activities. So will of majority members of the General Assembly will become the decision of the UN, and the decision of UN will never enforced on any of the government in the world. But has the world opinion on certain cases? Of course, the United Nations will not enforce any country to follow their instruction, but they will express their point of view. They will express their opinion on certain issues like international issues. If there is a problem between two countries, or some other issues which is having an international or the world acceptance, in those cases they will express their opinion. Second one, moral matters. Certain moral matters, in certain moral matters, the United Nations will be taking their decision. They will express their opinion. So these are the general ideas about General Assembly. Now let's see its composition. Members of UN will be the members of General Assembly. Suppose if a country is a member of UN and they are the members of General Assembly also. Each state can appoint 5 representatives. From every state, they can send 5 representatives to General Assembly. But all the 5 representatives together, they will be having one vote, which means if there are 100 members in UN and all the 100 members will be the members of General Assembly also, and 100 members or the 100 countries can appoint 5 representatives each, which means 100 into 5, 500 representatives will be there altogether. Out of these 500 representatives, all the representatives together can cast only 100 votes because there were only 100 states. I hope you understood what I told. So each state can send 5 representatives, but each state has only one vote, which means all the 5 representatives together can cast only one vote, either for or against. Now we are going to discuss about the sessions of the United Nations. The regular session starts from 3rd Tuesday in September to 3rd week of December, which means every year usually the United Nations will be gathered. If there is no any international issue, there will be a regular gathering of United Nations. It is being known as regular session. And it starts from 3rd Tuesday in September till 3rd week of December. So this is what is the duration of the general session or the regular session of the United Nations. In fact, I am taking this class today on 16th September 2020. Yesterday it was 15th September, which means in 2020, 15th September is the 3rd Tuesday, and I hope that yesterday United Nations started its regular session, and I think you have got an idea about what I have told right now, which means I am taking class today. It is 16th September. Yesterday it was 15th September, and it was the 3rd Tuesday in the month of September 2020, which means United Nations started its regular session yesterday, and it will be getting over by the 3rd week of December. In the beginning, once the regular session starts, the first activity of the session will be electing of the president, 21 vice presidents, and chairman of 6 main committees. 6 main committees, like I have already told you, 6 different organs are there for United Nations. So for all the different organs there will be a chairman. So each chairman, altogether there will be 6 chairmen, and they will be elected in the beginning of the regular session of the United Nations. There are certain formalities, there are certain criteria in the election of the president. First of all, equal geographical representation is strictly followed. In order to implement this equal geographical representation, the entire states were divided into 5 groups. The countries or the members of the United Nations were divided into 5 groups of states. First one, Africa. Second one, Asia. Third one, Eastern Europe. Fourth one, Latin America. And the last one, Caribbean. So these are the 5 different groups of the states. So one country will be a member of any of this or one of the groups of states. So that's about the election of the president. Now about special sessions. We have already seen regular session, which is taking place in the 3rd Tuesday of September, and it is getting over by the 3rd week of December. But in certain cases there will be special sessions. It will be on the basis of the request made by the Security Council. If there is an important matter and they feel that the United Nations has to assemble immediately due to certain reasons, So the Security Council will be making a request and the Secretary General will be requesting all the members to gather. So special sessions can be conducted, but it will be on the basis of the request made by the Security Council, or one another situation is there, request by majority of members. So if the Security Council is not interested, but at the same time majority of the members demanding that there must be a session because there are sudden immediate crisis, some serious matters are going on in the world, so they will request for a special session to discuss about the matter. In that case, the special session can take place. Now about the important matters, decisions on important matters. It must be approved by 2/3 majority of the total members. I have already told you, one state will be having only one vote. So if there are 90 nations, 60 nations has to support it, 2/3 majority. Or if there are 300 members, 200 members has to support. So decision on important matters will be on the basis of the support given by 2/3 majority. Important matters are like election of non-permanent members of Security Council. So in the case of election of a non-permanent member of Security Council, 2/3 majority is needed, required. Then admission of new members. So if a new state want to get admission in United Nations, its decision will be taken by the General Assembly on the basis of the voting system. Admission of new members. Suspension or expulsion of members. So they can suspend a nation or expulsion of a member. So all these are important matters of the General Assembly. Then again, budgetary issues, the issues related to the money matters of the United Nations. All these decisions will be getting approval with 2/3 majority of the total members. And in other matters, majority of members present and voting. So in other cases or any other issues, rather than these 4 important issues, in any other issues, majority of members present and voting. That is the criteria which they have kept in the other matters. So dear students, I hope you have got a very clear idea about the composition of the United Nations. What are the formality, what are the different criteria, what are the different specialities in the formation of its membership and its decisions and its different sessions, how all those things are being conducted and how all those things are being carried out. That's what we were discussing in today's class. With this, we are winding up today's class, and in the next class we are going to discuss another important organs of the United Nations, that is Security Council, and we will be discussing the different factors related to the Security Council in the next class. Till then, I would like to sign off. Thank you.